talking about our future plans and how they never go the way that we plan. So they just never have. They really never have gone the way that we planned in our entire marriage and relationship together. So I think that for the summer, we're just going to plan on not planning. It seems to work for us. Like when we were in Kansas working for Amazon, we had absolutely no clue where we were going to go, what we were going to do, and I was spending a ridiculous amount of time online looking for a place for us to go and stuff like that. And of course, when I wasn't looking, this job just happened to appear and was like, hey, do you want to work here? And so that's kind of just how it's been most of our life, and definitely at least the last 4 years. It's been more like things have been presented to us, and we've just been blessed like that, and we're really thankful that happens. But sometimes we get a little carried away with stressing out about what we should do planning wise. And when I say we, I mean my husband, because he's definitely more of a planner than I am. I'm definitely more of a go with the flow kind of girl and not really care too much about the future. Let's live in the present kind of thing. Anyways, we are generically planning our trip to, of course, we have to go back to Illinois for a wedding, and then after that we have to drive all the way to California for a wedding, and they're a week apart, so that'll be really fun. I hope. After that, it's pretty much wherever the Lord takes us, wherever the wind takes us, and we're hoping that it'll lead us up north towards Oregon. We found out that we have cable here. We're not TV watchers. We haven't had cable in 8 years or more. We've just had the internet and Netflix off and on. So we hooked up our cable, and lo and behold, the travel channel's on with my husband's favorite show that we watch online usually, and it's Treehouse Masters. So we're watching that, and these guys have a treehouse built so they can actually live in it. And so the show got over, and we're like, what an idea. I'm sure like people have thought about this, and I'm sure people do this, but how awesome would it be to just live in a treehouse? So it's definitely an option that we're keeping on our minds, but maybe treehouse or maybe an arched cabin. I don't know. We just don't know. Like I said, every time we try to plan something, it just really never works, and it just goes in the direction it's meant to go in anyways. So our plan is, our goal is to hopefully buy land this summer. We're going to be traveling up the coast to from Southern California to Northern California to visit my husband's dad. And then after that, we'll be heading to Oregon, like Portland-ish area. We have a lot of friends that live there, but we've never been there before. So, and that is kind of the area that we're wanting to settle down in eventually. That or like the coast of Oregon. We've toyed with possibly Northern California because we love the redwoods there. It is breathtaking there, but we haven't been there in a long time, and it's still in California, and California is a very expensive state to live in, pretty much no matter where you're at. So we're also just keeping an open mind as we travel, that maybe we're not meant to live up there, and maybe we're supposed to live somewhere else. So we're just keeping an open mind, but we kind of have our hearts set on Oregon, but we'll see. So also we hope to buy land this summer, but our finances probably aren't going to let that happen, and realistic point of view, but we'll only have about $4,000 saved up, and so we would at least like an acre or so, and everywhere we've looked online for land in the areas that we want to live in is very pricey for land. So I'm not really sure if that's going to work out, but we also weren't sure that we were going to get a really expensive diesel truck and a trailer within our budget at all. So we're keeping an open mind that anything is possible and to stay positive about it, because once we shut it down and are negative and it's just like, well, we just don't have enough money, this isn't going to work, this is ridiculous to even think that we could get land for this much money, then it puts a damper on our whole future planning and goals and stuff like that. So we're just really keeping an open mind about things, and planning on not planning. So hopefully it'll work out to our benefit as it usually has. My husband has decided to not work a full 40 hours. When we came down here, we weren't really planning on working at all for money. So him getting offered a position here, we took it because it would help us not be so stressed out on our budget, and it has helped a little bit. He's gotten a good check so far, and it wasn't for much at all. It's minimum wage here, but it definitely helped enough to where we weren't really stressing out too much. So anyways, he decided to only work 4 days a week instead of 5, and just spend a little bit more time at home, even though we really get to see him all the time. He's rolling around here on a golf cart all over the campgrounds all the time, and the boys get to see him whenever they want, and he gets an hour for lunch, and he comes home on all of his breaks. So it's not like we're really missing out on him and he's gone for long periods of time. So that's a good thing, and I totally support him whatever he decides, because we weren't planning on working anyways. So we're just gonna be happy with the little bit of money that he gets from here, and save it and have it go towards things that are necessary. So, and it's also good that he's working a little bit more than he originally planned, because he's learning a lot of things. He's in maintenance here, and he's not really a maintenance handyman kind of person, but he's definitely learned a lot here so far, and that's going to be a definite benefit for our future, especially when we are planning on building our own tiny house eventually and living on land where we'll be self-sustaining. So having a little bit of knowledge like that is probably going to go a long way. So it's to our benefit. One of the negative things that I'm realizing on this trip is my husband and I and our little family were Christians, and we were really used to going to a regular church before. And when we moved to Kansas, we checked out a little bit too many churches. We probably should have stuck to just 2 or 3 and checked those out, but we checked out some churches, and we just really didn't click with any of them, and we didn't really make friends. And I don't know if that's just because we're outsiders and those kind of small town churches aren't really accepting. But regardless, it's been a little bit difficult, especially moving here to Texas when my husband's required to work on Sundays, because that's their busiest. Saturdays and Sundays are their busiest days, so there isn't really an option for us to go to church on Sundays unless it was just me taking the boys, and I'd rather go as a family. So we've kind of been supplementing that with watching sermons online, which works to an extent, but we really just need that those other people around us to have actual in real life interaction with. So that's been a little bit of a negative, and we haven't found anyone on the campgrounds yet that has common interest in that area. At least in Kansas, our neighbors there was quite a few people that were Christians and had the same beliefs as us in that area. So it was really nice, and we could always talk to them if we had an issue or we just wanted to talk about God and how awesome He is. So that was cool. Here, we don't really have that. We just kind of have each other and the internet, which has been useful. Although the internet here is really, really crappy. It's just crappy. So, like, to upload a video that is 10 minutes long, it takes about 12 hours. I'm not even joking. I promise I'm not joking. The internet cuts in and out here all the time. So to actually watch a sermon that's 45 minutes long takes a really long time, because it's like it'll stop and it'll say buffering forever, and then we'll just have to restart it and disconnect the internet from the computer, and it's a hot mess. But we can't afford actual internet, so we're just kind of living with it, and it is what it is. So we're just thankful that we have any kind of internet. So there's that. My kids still they're doing really good. They're totally better from whatever stomach virus that they had, but they still have battle scars. My youngest, from when we took him to the hospital and they tried to stick IVs in his arm, had a couple of veins that blew as they were trying to do that, and his arm is bruised still from all that, and it's really painful for me to look at. It reminds me of watching him having that needle stuck in his arm and his vein just blowing. So it's really painful to see, and he has that. And then my oldest son has a giant sore up here that turned into a scab, because when he was really sick one day, he went to throw up, and he was just so out of it, he threw up and his head hit the wall as he was throwing up, and it gave him like a really bad boo-boo. And it's this big scab right now. And, oh, poor kids. At least they're over it, and we don't have to deal with that anymore for right now, and hopefully not in the future. We went grocery shopping today, and we were supposed to go yesterday, but we got distracted and just spending time with the family and having fun with bonding with each other. So we forgot to go grocery shopping yesterday, even though it would have been prime day, because today it rained all day. So we ended up hopping in the truck and going into town. And I have a list every single time I go to the grocery store. And I don't know what the deal is, but we always get distracted and get off the list. And I don't want to point fingers, but my husband puts a lot of things in the cart that are not on the list. Not saying he doesn't deserve it, because he works really hard for this family, and as the leader of our little family, he does a really great job. So whatever snacks he puts in there is fine. But that, along with my son, throws our budget off when we go grocery shopping. And we were actually over our budget today by $35 as we went grocery shopping. And I'm realizing that I may need to just bump our budget up on our groceries. I was really trying to stick to $400 a month for groceries, but it's not working out. The average right now that we're spending a week is about $135 a week for groceries. So, and that's just really trying. That's buying a lot of produce. That's sticking with, a lot of really good foods. We've got dairies, and we buy very few meat. We're not really a bunch of meat eaters. I used to be vegan for a few years, like 3 or 4 years, and then before that I was vegetarian, and now I'm just, I don't know. I don't like meat too much, so we don't really buy it. So we really stick to a lot of fruits and vegetables and fresh foods, and we just make a lot of stuff from scratch, but it still seems to be bumping our grocery bill up a bit too high. So I'm not really sure what we're gonna do. I'm just probably gonna end up bumping up our budget for groceries, and maybe later in life I'll figure out how to stick to $400 a month as a family of 4, but I don't know. Our 2 little boys eat all the time, and my husband eats we all just eat all the time. So I don't know. We gotta eat. So anyways, on a positive note, I went to go get propane, and we have a discount here because we work here, so we get it at cost, and I was a little concerned about like what the at cost was, because it's $16 to fill up our 20-pound tank here, but when I went up there, our at cost price was $8. $8! And I know that's silly, but I'm really excited about that. Like, you know you're an RV'er when you're excited about the price of propane not being expensive. So $8 to fill up our 2 20-pound tanks, and then $11 to fill up our 30-pound tank. So I was really stoked on that. I was trying not to be overly excited when I was paying for it, and I was keeping it cool, and I was just like, you know, thanks and have a good day. But then when I got back to the RV, I was super excited, and I was like almost jumping up and down because that's just more money that's in our pocket that we get to save. So a little ridiculous to be too happy about that, but I love it when things cost a lot less than I was expecting. So there's that. So I'm not really sure what else we're planning on doing next. So I think it's just gonna be a go with the flow thing for everything from now on. So we've worked out a plan to each have our quiet times daily, because it's absolutely necessary that we both really refuel ourselves and not constantly have to deal with the family. And as a mom or a dad, you're always wanting to be around your family, but if you're having stuff that you're constantly thinking about, that you really just want to spend time with yourself, and it's just not healthy to not have your quiet time. So that was cool. We talked about that. We've been talking a whole heck of a lot about that treehouse house, to live in it. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that you can learn online, and I briefly looked into how to build a treehouse on YouTube and Google and such, and I think that it might just be a better idea for us to have someone lay the structure down for us and us just kind of finish it. We're very, very not handy people at all. We could try, but it doesn't end up well. And I haven't showed you guys this, but I have completely torn out 2 of the walls in the RV, one in the front and one in the boys' room. This was before we moved in, because it was really bad water damage. And in the front part where my husband and I sleep, it looks really good. I think it looks great. I think I did a fabulous job. But in our boys' room, it's a hot mess. It's not pretty, and we're just not those kind of people. But we're learning as we go, and we're hoping that we learn even more as we continue, and hopefully more people will come into our life that are a little bit more handy than us, that can teach us stuff. So that's a really good benefit to being like this, is that we get to meet all kinds of different people that have different skills that can teach us and coach us a little bit too. So that's about it, YouTube. Just our little update for right now. I'm sorry about the sound. I'm doing laundry, but have a good day, guys.